guy thought I was a cop right away, so he shuffled across the street right up to me.
Have you ever seen a man's entire life flash before your eyes in a single photograph? That's what people felt when Nick Nolte's new mugshot leaked online. But this time, it wasn't for drugs, it wasn't for violence, and it wasn't for some Hollywood scandal. No, this one broke hearts, not headlines. Because the truth behind that picture has nothing to do with crime, and everything to do with pain, loss, and a haunting legacy that refuses to fade. Nick Nolte, the Hollywood legend, the rugged face that once graced movie posters and red carpets, was never meant to end up like this. The man who once symbolized rebellion and brilliance had vanished into isolation, only to reappear in a photo that said everything words could not. The wrinkles, the unshaven beard, the tired eyes. They told the story of a man who had lived too much, loved too hard, and fallen too far. To understand why this new mugshot has everyone talking, you have to go back, decades back, to when Nick Nolte wasn't just famous. He was unstoppable. In the 1970s and 80s, Nolte wasn't just another actor, he was a force of nature. That gritty voice, that wild charisma, that dangerous spark in his eyes. He was the embodiment of the American outlaw spirit. Hollywood loved him because he wasn't polished. He was real. He was chaos and art blended into one man. From rich man, poor man to 48 hours, from the Prince of Tides to the Thin Red Line, Nolte didn't play characters. He became them. He lived every emotion to the edge, and the world couldn't look away. But fame, as always, comes with a cost. And Nick Nolte paid it in full. Behind the awards and applause was a man at war with himself. He drank. He fought. He disappeared into the Hollywood nights that chewed up and spit out so many before him. People who knew him said he had two sides, the brilliant artist who could move you to tears, and the broken man who couldn't face his own reflection. By the early 2000s, that internal war exploded. The infamous 2002 mugshot, the one that went viral before viral even existed, showed a disheveled Nolte in a Hawaiian shirt, his hair standing on end like he'd just come through a storm. It became one of the most infamous celebrity images of all time. But what most people didn't know was that behind that chaotic grin, he was near death. He'd been struggling with substance abuse, depression, and heart problems that almost ended everything. That mugshot was his rock bottom, the photo that told the truth before he even admitted it himself. He would later say in interviews that he wasn't high, that it was exhaustion, confusion, a breakdown. But deep down, Nick knew that wasn't the full truth. He had been broken for a long time, trying to drown memories he couldn't escape, failed marriages, lost friends, and a Hollywood that no longer needed him. And yet, he survived. Somehow, the man everyone counted out rose again. Nolte sobered up, disappeared from tabloids, and retreated to his private home in Malibu. A wooden house he built himself, hidden behind trees and wind. He grew older, quieter, wiser. He became a ghost of the man he once was, but a peaceful one. That's why when this new mugshot surfaced, the world gasped. Because it wasn't about crime. It was about time. It wasn't an arrest photo, it was a hospital intake photo. Sources close to Nolte revealed that the image was taken not after a brawl or a DUI, but after a medical emergency. The look of confusion, the sadness in his eyes. It was the face of a man fighting his body, not the law. Reports say that Nolte, now in his 80s, had been quietly battling memory loss and heart issues, conditions that had worsened in recent years. He had been in and out of treatment centers, not for addiction, but for survival. Fans who saw the photo didn't mock him this time. They mourned. Because this wasn't the wild-haired mugshot of 2002, this was a portrait of mortality. The kind of image that makes you realize heroes age too. For those who grew up watching Nolte tear across the screen, wild, fearless, alive, it felt like losing a piece of history. But in a strange, poetic way, this new photo captured the essence of who Nick Nolte truly was. Raw, unfiltered, vulnerable. The same honesty that made him a legend is now what makes this image so haunting. He once said, "I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of not living while I'm alive." And that quote feels heavier now than ever. Nolte lived like a hurricane, 3 marriages, countless heartbreaks, and decades of self-destruction mixed with genius. In the 80s, he was named People magazine's sexiest man alive. In the 90s, he was nominated for Oscars. And in the 2000s, he nearly lost it all. He's seen every extreme, from the top of the red carpet to the floor of a jail cell. But through it all, he never stopped being honest. Even in interviews late in life, he spoke with brutal self-awareness. "I was a drunk," he said once. "I was dangerous. I destroyed everything good around me. But that's part of living. You break, and you rebuild. You fall, and you rise. That's what makes a man." Maybe that's why people still love him. Because Nick Nolte never pretended to be perfect. He didn't hide his chaos behind fame. He let the world see it. And in doing so, he became more human than most stars ever dare to be. Those who have seen him recently say he spends most of his days reading, painting, and sitting outside his Malibu home overlooking the Pacific. He rarely speaks to the press now, but when he does, there's wisdom in every word. He's spoken openly about his regrets, especially missing time with his children. His daughter Sophie, who once appeared alongside him in Head Full of Honey, remains close to him, often visiting and caring for him as his health fades. The new mugshot may have reignited old memories, but for those who truly understand his story, it's not an image of shame. It's a reflection of a man who lived through the fire and came out scarred but still standing. Hollywood is full of perfect faces and fake smiles. Nick Nolte never had either. His roughness was his beauty. His madness was his truth. So when people look at that new photo and whisper, "What happened to Nick Nolte?" the real answer is simple: life happened. The same life that made him a star, that broke him, that taught him humility, it all shows on his face now. And maybe that's the most powerful image of all. Because long after the lights fade, long after the fame is gone, what remains isn't the mugshot, it's the man who refused to give up. The man who fell, rose again, and faced the camera one last time, not as a celebrity, but as a survivor. Nick Nolte's new photo may shock people, but it's not about scandal. It's about truth. It's about aging. It's about what happens when a man has lived every version of himself and has nothing left to hide. The wild heart of Hollywood has grown old, but it still beats, quietly, defiantly, in a house by the sea, where the waves crash just like they did when Nick Nolte was young and reckless. He once said that acting was never about pretending for him, it was about revealing. And now, in the twilight of his life, even a simple photograph reveals more truth than any film ever could. Because behind that weathered face isn't a criminal, it's a legend who has finally made peace with who he is.